We Steal Secrets by Kelsey and Valerie. What would you do if you were granted access to classified U.S. military files or videos and had the power to release them, with total secrecy to the entire world? Would you risk the lives of thousands of people because you felt this information should be seen worldwide? Julian Assange is a computer programmer and hacker who was born in Australia, according to newsmakers. Julian was raised primarily by his single mother, and by the time he was in his early teens, he had lived in over 30 different towns and cities in Australia. Julian was stated as having a rough childhood because he was always moving around and really never lived in a stable life. Julian began at a young age playing with computers and continued on developing bigger and bigger projects from there on. When Julian was a young adult and teenager, he was first introduced to hacking and information retrieval. According to We Steal Secrets, Julian was presumed to be a part of a group based in Australia called Worms Against Nuclear Killers that hacked into NASA's computer system via a worm. NASA had assumed that these hackers were trying to get access into their computer systems to stop the launch of Galileo. As stated in We Steal Secrets, Julian was also charged with 25 counts of hacking-related crimes, but was not sentenced harshly due to his very disrupted childhood and the fact that he did not show malicious intent. Even after being charged multiple times, his itch for hacking and digging into hidden passages was not going to stop anytime soon. According to We Steal Secrets, Julian built a machine for leaking secrets and called it WikiLeaks. The website used an electronic Dropbox that could receive secrets sent by people who didn't want to reveal who they were. Once they had the secrets, they would publish them so scattered out that they could never be taken down. Julian wanted to enable information to go out to the public that could cause political reform. As stated in We Steal Secrets, Julian knew he needed to protect sources in order for his project to work. Julian had much success with leaks and getting information from whistleblowers, but his biggest and most popular leak would come from a U.S. soldier, Bradley Manning. According to Daily Motion Picture, We Steal Secrets, Bradley Manning joined the Army in 2007. While he was in basic training, the instructors and his peers noticed he was having a difficult time fitting in and adjusting. Manning, amongst other recruits, were placed with a special platoon to undergo observation from soldiers to see if these recruits were fit for the Army. Out of all the recruits under observation, Manning was the only one to continue through and become a soldier. Peers of Manning claimed that Manning, in their eyes, was the most unfit and believed the only reason that he had made it through basic training was because of Manning's knowledge of computer systems. Manning became an Army intelligence analyst and had access to hundreds of thousands of classified documents for his job. According to Daily Motion, Manning had reached out to WikiLeaks fall of 2009 after failed attempts of trying to get into touch with the New York Times and the Washington Post in regards to the classified documents that he had come across while deployed in Iraq. Manning reached out to WikiLeaks in hope that he could keep his identity a secret while leaking the classified documents to the general public, knowing that he could be charged and possibly spend the rest of his life in prison under strict guidelines. The Uniform Code of Military Justice he agreed to when he had joined the Army. Going along with the information provided from Daily Motion, Manning reached out to a man by the name of Adrian Lamo. He was looking for a confidant and knew of Lamo from the hacker world. Manning went with an online name of, quote, Bradass87, end quote, and reached out to Lamo asking for help and opinions in regards to the information he had harvested. Lamo and Manning built a friendship throughout their online messaging relationship, and the two messaged often. As reported by Dailymotion, Bradley Manning had leaked a bombing video from one of our cameras in air showing one of the airstrike missions with bombs striking the ground and killing many people. Manning also leaked thousands of documents to WikiLeaks. Julian Assange. This included secret information from the military database, including missions and confidential informants. Julian Assange leaked the bombing video in April of 2010 and continued to leak the documents throughout the year. Previous coworkers of Assange stated that Assange initially did not want to go through the documents and remove information regarding those helping our military. But with the persistence, he gave in for the safety of the informants' lives. The Financial Times stated that Bradley Manning had leaked thousands of documents, quote, into the lap of the enemy, end quote. They believe that Manning was in fact helping the enemy by providing the documents to Assange, and that he had put our service members' lives in danger. As stated by Dailymotion, Adrian Lamo was in a tough predicament. He had this friendship with Manning, but he also had morals and couldn't bear having the guilt on his shoulders if something was to happen to our service members. Lamo had even reached out to a friend and give him a hypothetical scenario and asked what he would do in this situation. Lamo eventually worked through all of his problems and decided to go to the authorities with all of the evidence between him and Manning. As stated by the Christian Science Monitor, Bradley Manning was arrested by the United States Army on May 27, 2010. Bradley Manning was charged with over 20 different charges and was sent to a military camp in Kuwait. After showing many signs of being suicidal, Manning was eventually moved to the Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia. Manning was eventually sent to another camp while awaiting his trial. According to the Christian Science Monitor, Bradley's trial and hearings began around April of 2011, and Bradley eventually pled guilty to 10 of his charges in February of 2013. Bradley was tried on the remaining charges and in total was found guilty on 17 out of 22 charges. In the article of the Christian Science Monitor, it was stated that Bradley Manning had received 35 years in military prison for all of his charges. He was facing a maximum of 90 years in prison. He was dishonorably discharged, reduced in rank, and was made to forfeit any of his military pay and benefits. While Bradley was getting 35 years in prison, Julian Assange, whose website leaked Manning's files, was facing his own legal trouble in a whole other country. Around the same time that Bradley Manning was being prosecuted for his crimes and involvement with leaking classified documents, Julian Assange was awaiting charges for a completely different reason. According to the Los Angeles Times, Julian was facing sexual assault accusations in Sweden. He still has not been prosecuted on those charges, but an investigation is open. According to the Los Angeles Times, the prosecution during Manning's trial was also trying to pin together Bradley and Julian so that they could press charges against Julian in connection to the leaked files Bradley had obtained. No such connection has been strongly proven to this day, and Julian has not had any charges brought against him in relation to Bradley Manning's case yet. There is currently an open investigation centered on WikiLeaks. There are many opposing views on the subject of both Julian Assange and Bradley Manning in regards to the First Amendment. In an article written by Jeffrey Stone, who is a writer for the Federal Communications Law Journal, he discusses the issues that lie within the First Amendment and the parties involved. Manning was a service member, therefore the part he played was unconstitutional because he had other rules and guidelines that he had to follow. He had put the lives of many of his peers in danger with the Leak, especially because we still had our military forward deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Julian Assange's defense was his right to the First Amendment. He did not work for our government, therefore he did not have any other laws he was breaking. Assange believed that he was simply letting the general population know and understand what we were doing while at war. There are many connections between this case and John Stuart Mill, but Bradley Manning had a little bit of different ideas than John Stuart Mill. He believed that no matter the risks or the people's lives he might put at risk, this information needed to be seen by the public. When it comes to Bradley Manning in this case, his freedom to present this information was being controlled and was stopped by the government. And also in this case, the tyranny of the majority were going against the government. Most people believe that Manning should have been freed because he was just doing what was right for the world. But was he really? Manning did not follow the main rule that John Stuart Mill stood by, and that was to do as he pleased as long as it were in the greater good and caused no harm. Manning put many people's lives at risk and suffered more than he should have. This was not the case of exploiting one military event that he had thought to be unlawful. He leaked hundreds of thousands of files just because he had access to them and he wanted to make something of himself. WikiLeaks would probably have hit another scandal along the road, or might have never had one and not been under investigation right now if it were not for Manning's actions. One man decided to become a quote-unquote hero and change his life forever. Thank you all for your time.